Truck Talk Media.
C10 Talk, episode 237. Brian Vowell. From C10 Builder, C10 Owner, Shop Supply Provider, C10 Club Arizona, Tray 5, SEMA, and more. We're going to get to know Brian. Here we go.
I enjoyed it, so that I enjoy the truck meets. I enjoy the scene. I enjoy doing stuff. And it's always, to me, it hasn't been about the big shows. It hasn't been about making any money. It's not about that. It's just about people meeting up, hanging out, cruising their trucks, catching up, just having a good time and with no pressure. Just go have a good time. Almost like the old days when everybody met up at the pavilions every Saturday night or whatever,
Damn, son. Seeing is believing, and our title sponsor, United Pacific, makes seeing a whole lot easier. The crispness of the United Pacific LED headlights, taillights, marker lights, and more makes seeing and showing your truck that much better. It's time to upgrade your old dim halogens for new LED headlights, taillights, and more. They offer the brightest and latest LED technology. Headlights are available up to 1600 lumens, easy to install, and it fits right in the OEM housing. How about upgrading to sequential taillights? They're DOT approved and ready to ship today. DOT approved. And for you 73 to 80 GMC and Chevy square body guys, they've got the new front parking lights, LED with stainless steel bezel. Think UP Car Parts. That's upcarparts.com.
Let me tell you what Melbourne Post is packing right here. I've got 411 posi track out back, 750 double pumper, Edelbrock intakes, scored over 30, 11-to-1 pop-up pistons, turbojet, 390 horsepower. We're talking some bucking muscle.
What does that do? Did that blow your mind? That just happened.
Welcome to C10 Talk, your C10 Truck podcast.
And now I have a chance to be the best, maybe the best in the world.
My old man is a television repairman. Got this ultimate set of tools. I can fix it.
I said I got 50 cents in that jukebox, and all I can hear is your mouth flapping. You hear that?
Here's your host, Ronnie Welch.
Here we go, episode 237. What's up, my brothers and sisters? Mr. Brian Vowell, episode 237 coming at you. Stoked to bring Brian to the pod and to you guys. He's a big part of our community, and I sure do appreciate everything that he does. Big, I would say, behind-the-scenes guy, right? So you might not always see Brian, but he's there, and he's doing what he does, making the community better, and that's really what it's all about. All right, so Memorial Day, we've got some killer sales coming up. Marquet has got 10, 15, and 20% depending on how much you spend. But 20%, if you spend over $1,000 and you're looking for like a molding, side molding, that's a big savings for you guys because that stuff isn't cheap. Now, it's made in the U.S., Oklahoma City. It's worth it. It is awesome stuff. I promise you. The fitment is money. You're not going to be sending these pieces back like you might if you get some cut rate trim. Mar-K, 20%, up to 20% off. Check out their sale. Brothers has a sale, 10% off if you spend $499 or less. If you go over that, $500, you're getting 15% off. So brotherstrucks.com. Pro Performance, I talked to Travis. He said they are going to be running some specials. UP Car Parts, 15% off. UP Car Parts. So check out the different companies that support the pod. And, if you're in the middle of a project, you're putting your list together, hit up some of these companies because they are having a Memorial Day sale. On this pod, there's parts of this episode I did catch where my audio was a little kind of muffled. So I don't know if I was just kind of getting relaxed and I wasn't deep throating the mic like I am right now. I'm right in the mic. So I have a nice mic and I must have just been sitting back. So if you hear that, I want to bring you great audio. Work through it. I'll try to work on getting a little closer to the mic. Brian does most of the talking, so it works out just fine. All right, let's get into the episode. Have a great, safe, happy Memorial Day. Let's remember those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for this great country. Hang those flags high and proud. Enjoy your day off. Hopefully you're having some barbecue. You're out by the pool. Whatever it is, friends, family, having a great, safe, fun-filled Memorial Day. And no matter what, hopefully you're having a great weekend. Thanks as always for tuning in. We do appreciate it. Have a great weekend, guys. Thanks again. Late. All right. Here we go. How about an Arizona OG, Mr. Brian Vowell? He's one of our local OGs. He keeps it going, man. And if you've listened to the roundtable, we've had 2 episodes, and I surely hope you have. And if you haven't, you've kind of heard. One of the things is for me in Arizona is I have to be careful. I'm always stressed. Like, we have such a good scene here. We have a great scene here. And I always think, man, I don't want to be too Arizona heavy. And the other day I'm sitting there thinking, how in the world have I not interviewed Brian Vowell? And I reached out to Brian, and he's like, are you sure? Are you feeling okay? And I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? I don't even need to make notes for this guy. I've known him that long, and he's that big of a part in our scene out here. So, Brian, thank you for taking time to be on C10 Talk, and welcome, brother.
Hey, man, thank you. It's an honor to always be on your podcast, man. It's just part of the scene, and like I remember I think it was the first Brothers show I ever went to when C10 Talk was just like a pipe dream, when you were walking around with your little, I think it was your kind of like an easy bake oven microphone thing. And Goose was behind you, and you were talking like to everybody, and you walked away, and they're like, who's that? I go, well, that's Ronnie. I go, he never shuts up.
Right. And not only that, and then the funny thing is, that's like a pager recorder. Right. And then at the end of the day, now you look back 7-8 years ago, and we've made a lot of good memories on those road trips, and then put together some pod. I've got a great story. The guys out in Texas one time that, they're like, who the hell is this guy? He comes waving this friggin' mic in our face. And now, it's Ben Dollar now, and I consider him a good friend. And it's funny how him, Cody, and it was just one of those things where, I come in hot, and I'm like, here, I got a job to do. I want to talk to you about you. I want to talk to you about your truck. And, it's a good time. I'm glad that.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's overwhelming, man. I mean, for you, it's got to be overwhelming, because just to see, just from how long I've known you, and where you started with C10 Talk, and back when it was just hey man, I want to try this, I want to do this podcast. And I remember those conversations in the Hojo parking lot of Brothers. So what I mean, and then just to see where you brought it from now. I mean, you got C10 Talk, you got like Ford, I don't even know what all you got, like 37 different talk podcasts or something. So but congrats, man. But it's an honor to be on here for sure.
Well, I appreciate it. And so Truck Talk Media is doing good. We're busy. We're lucky that we have so many good people to interview like yourself. So let's go back. So you're an Arizona OG. When did you get your first C10, and what was it? What was your first draw? Were you growing? I think now, again, I don't really need to make notes on all this. I think you're a Mesa High kid. For the audience, you've heard me talk about growing up in Mesa Public Schools, my Mesa Public School math. Mesa High is just down the road from where I went, which would be Mountain View, a little bit of a rivalry. Right. Now, 90, 91, 92, 93.
91, I graduated. Yeah. Class of 91, Mesa. Yeah. Jackrabbits and the Toros, man. Big rivalry.
For sure. So, especially back then, because, 91, they won state, if I remember right. We lost them in the semifinals, and then we beat the shit out of them my senior year, which was our first game. And then, I think St. Mary's won it all, but
what did you graduate? 92, or when did you graduate? 90. Yeah. So when I left, all the good guys were gone. So we had the best class. But but I don't know, man. The first draw for C10s for me, it was kind of funny. Like going way back, my dad's a Ford guy, or was a Ford guy when he was with us. And so I first learned how to drive in a 66 Ford F100 short bed, truck that my dad had forever, put like 1 million miles on it. Super, super cool deal. But I've just always been a Chevy guy. I don't know why, just always into the Chevrolets. And the very first C10 I ever got, I was, me and my dad were doing some, he had a lighting and sign company, and we were doing fixing some gas station lights down in Florence. And the Florence School District had a yard down there, and they had a 68 Chevy step side, just rusted out, just truck sitting there in the yard. And I looked at that, and I was like, Dad, that's the truck, man. Like, look at that. We got to try to get that. So literally as soon as we finished doing our call over there, my dad just, rolls in there. We got our big ladder truck and all that. He just rolls right in that yard, and it's sitting in the corner, full of weeds and everything else. My dad walks up to the guy and says, hey, we want to buy that truck. And the little guy was like, hey, $500 and you can have it. I mean, you wish you could buy a 68 stepper for $500 anymore. So my dad, of course, looked at me. I think then I was working for my dad for $3 an hour or some shit.
Yeah. So like 9th, 10th, 11th grade.
I was like, Dad, if you buy that truck for me, you don't have to pay me for probably the rest of the summer, and so that's what he did, and then we bought it. And the next weekend we went down there and took a can of gas and freaking, just put some gas in it, put a battery in it, fired it up, and it fired up. And, four freaking flat spotted bias ply tires. And my dad just looked at me and he said, well, jump in her, let's go. And I was 13 at the time or whatever. And I'd been driving his big trucks forever. He's all, I'll follow you I'll follow you. You get out in front of me and you just drive it home. And I was like,
for the audience, Florence to where home is in Mesa.
Yeah.
35 miles.
Yeah, 45 miles. Yeah, whatever. Because I grew up off of Greenfield and Southern. So, from downtown Florence to Greenfield and Southern, we went the back way and came back in Gilbert Road and all that. By the time we hit, probably, almost home, the tires actually got, round again. So that was cool. I think I shook the truck apart, but yeah, we drove it home. And of course I didn't know anything, but it sat there. I never really did anything with it, but that was my first one. And then, life happens and this and that. And I got fast forward a bunch of years.
Did you have to work it off? Did that?
Oh yeah. I worked it off.
$350 an hour, maybe. I think when I did roofing, the guy would pay us $340 an hour. And that was 8th, 9th, 10th grade. Worst freaking job I ever had. Arizona doing tear offs, and this guy was just like child labor law. So your mate, let's say your dad was nice. He's rounding up $350. He's like, no, you owe me $500, man.
Yeah, that's what it was. And I don't remember, how long it took me, but it was a long time, man. And I remember he wouldn't let me do anything to it until I paid him for it. Just because it was, when I was a kid, like he had a pretty nice lawnmower at one point, and I figured I could make it better once. So I took it apart and never got it put back together. So he wasn't going to let me tear this one apart until I paid him. So I finally paid him however long that took. And then, then started tinkering with it, but, it was way beyond my skill set at that time. And, and so, I got it, made it run and this and that. But of course, when you're a kid, first thing you want to do is I'm going to rip that straight 6 out and put a 350 in it and do this and do that. And then you're way above your skill level. And, then you can't figure out how to put it back together. So it sat there and just rotted in the yard for forever. But then I remember I sold it to somebody when I was in high school, and I was more into Novas and Chevelles and Camaros and all that stuff when I went to Mesa Votech and we were street racing and all that. So trucks were kind of went to the wayside at that point in my life, and so started drag racing and all that stuff and did that stuff for a long time. And just really, got in, I ran NHRA Super Street and all that for Super Gas for a lot of years. And then got through all that. And at some point, when Frontier came to fruition and all that, I started, selling supplies to a lot of the different guys. And Nate from Porterbuilt happened to be one of the guys that was one of my first customers. And, started selling him all his, nuts and bolts and, welding supplies and all that stuff. And started seeing all the trucks. And even this is going way back to when it was like his first drop member, when I saw, I think it was Dino's, one of the crew cabs, maybe, I don't know. It was one of the very first trucks I'd ever seen, or a white 60 to 66. I can't remember exactly which one it was.
Dino used to have, I think the first drop member went on his panel, but then if you remember back then, Dino had a white square that Nate did that was so sweet.
That was the one I saw. Yeah, I can't remember what it was, but it was a slam truck, and I'm short and fat, so the lifted stuff I got out of that, a long time ago. And so yeah, I saw that. I just kept seeing that, and I dug I love the lower stuff, and so just over time I talked to Nate, and he's like, yeah, man, I'll help you and this and that. And so then I got my my orange and white 72 that I had forever, and that was my I built that truck in my 2-car garage. I had to go outside to change my mind when I was working on it. But I built that truck just piece by piece by piece. And Nate helped me, guide me through all of that stuff and really kind of got me into it. So I built my orange and white 72, and that's that truck kind of just hooked me. And that's when I got into the scene and, met, John Oro and Renee and, C10 King Renee and those guys. Went to my first brother's show, and I was like, holy crap, this is just so cool. And everybody was, super cool and really nice. And, then the scene wasn't near what it is now anywhere. California then, like, definitely California was the place to be for the truck scene then. Still is really popular there, but it's shifted kind of. I think Arizona has as big of a scene as anybody does now, but that was all way back when. And so yeah, that was, and then just kind of snowballed from there, went into other trucks, and I just got hooked. And the story goes on.
Well, let's back it up. I got to hit the beep beep beep. Okay, so let's go to Frontier Shop Supplies. So for the audience, Frontier Shop Supplies provides shop supplies. You need it, nuts, bolts, fasteners, anything. It's, I think of kind of like Granger. I know you're not Granger, but if you're shopping it now, how did a drag racing kid end up? Did you work for a company? Did you start the company? What's the story on Frontier? And I always wondered where you came up with the name Frontier.
Okay. So, to save a lot of bore or whatever, but just to recap, I worked for my dad. My dad had a contracting company. I'd always turned wrenches my whole life, and that's what I thought I was going to do. I'd hurt myself when I was younger. So I ended up working for my dad, worked for him. And then, I'd started manufacturing light poles for parking lots and, sports stadiums and stuff like that. And got into that. And I thought that was a great business, but I got stiff for a bunch of money, and that business just crashed and went in the ground. I was in that for about 5 years, and, almost lost my house, lost everything at that point. And family wasn't real happy that I wasn't in the family company anymore and all that. So, I just kind of licked my wounds and took a job. I got a job working in a machine shop for a couple of years. And while I was working at that machine shop for that couple of years, the guy that lived 2 doors down from my parents, he had started Frontier Shop Supplies, and he had Frontier Shop Supplies, and he turned crankshafts for a living as well. So he was into the racing world, and I knew him and whatnot. So he was selling. I got him to come over to the shop where I was working to start selling supplies. And I'd already within a couple of years I'd always been kind of in the self-employed world and whatnot. And I'd gotten a little tired of working for somebody already. And I was like, wow, that's a pretty cool little deal he's got there. And I was only working 8 hours a day, which, was like half days pretty much at that point in my life. And
you were at the machine shop, right?
Yeah, I was at the machine shop. So I was off at 3:00 every day. And so I went down and talked to him, and I said, hey man, what would you think about me, starting to sell some of this stuff in the afternoons in my off time, and he's like, yeah, no problem. Work with me, whatever. So I did kind of just a straight commission deal with him. And I did that for just part-time, when within 3 months, I was making more money than I was making at my full-time job, and just working 2 or 3 hours a day in the afternoon. And then I just said, you know what, I'm just going to make this jump. Went to work for him full-time, and I worked for him for about a year and was making better money than I ever had in my life. I loved it because I like people. I like to go out and talk to people, and it got me back in the fabrication automotive world, which I loved, more than the contracting and all that stuff that my dad was in. It just, it was great business, but it wasn't mine, And so anyways, I was working for him for about a year, and then unfortunately he contracted brain cancer. And so he called me up, and he called me up on a Friday night and said, hey, they diagnosed me, gave me 6 months to live. And Monday morning, I'm either shutting this thing down or I'm selling it to you. And I was just, there's no way to even explain how you feel during, when something like that's happening.
How old are you? 28? I mean,
at this time I was 29 or 30.
All
I
right.
can't remember exactly. Yeah, 29 or 30. So I wasn't a stranger to self-employment, so that didn't scare me. But it was one of those deals where I just went to him and I was like, I was making better money than I ever had in my life, and I loved it. So I said, look, I'm buying if you're selling, if that's the way you want to go. But here's the problem: you signed my paycheck, so you know how much money I have. I got some money.
Give me some terms here.
Yeah, like I don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting in my pocket. And he just looked at me, straight face and said, you know what? All I'm concerned about is my wife having an income. And he said, if you are good with my terms, he gave me a super, like the best deal you could ever imagine, just a simple interest loan. You might have well, not even called it interest. And just said, hey, pay my wife out, pay her every month. And that'll give her that'll give her more security for, 10 years or whatever. We set it up on a 10-year deal. I ended up paying her off in like 7, but that's how I ended up in Frontier. It was just, it was a great opportunity in a horrible situation, and it was a tough one to wrap my head around, just because you feel guilty, like that you're taking it, that you got something good out of somebody else's complete misfortune, and so, yeah, that was a tough one, but that all I could do to do it justice, I guess, was just, hey, make sure she was paid on time and make sure she never missed anything. And, that's what I did, man. I freaking rolled up my sleeves and busted my butt, and that was like, right in 06, 07, I think it was. And then right after I bought it, like the economy crashed. And, it was just this craziness, of things that happened, but we made it through and no problems. And, I worked probably, 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, Sundays too, depending if I needed to, because I was the driver, I was the warehouse guy, I was everything, and so, yeah, that's just kind of how I ended up in Frontier. And then we just built it, little by little by little by little over all these years. And, just all the hard work just it finally paid off. I got out of the route truck about 4 years ago, finally. And so now I'm not running a route myself anymore, but I did for years and years, and it was great, but the company couldn't grow anymore. So I just had to make those decisions, just to get out of the truck. But it allows me to do everything that I do now. And, like it just teaches you how to be a manager instead of running, being a route driver, I guess, so yeah, it's just, kind of just a real grassroots deal, and just, roll your sleeves up and go to work and work hard every day. That was always my attitude. Like whatever happens, as long as I work as hard as I can every single day, hopefully we'll make it,
Yeah. And the Valley's grown and you've worked your ass off, and so has Frontier. So kudos to you and obviously Mickey and everything that you guys have been able to do with that company. Because another thing too is you've been a big part of kind of our scene, helping people, get different parts. I mean, we don't take that lightly either. If you guys need something and Brian's got it, he's going to take good care of you. So think about that when you're building your next truck. Or I always remember Nate, because Nate, I can't even imagine how much hardware you sold Nate back in the day, because he had great, the grade 8 bolts that I can't even imagine how many bolts, when you think about when I would go into Nate's and the boxes on boxes on boxes of just,
to this day, man, every bolt that goes on in a Porterbuilt kit comes from our place.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he's still Nate goes through a ton of stuff even today, and yeah, they're still rocking and rolling over there for sure.
That's cool. It's a good story. I'm good to hear the full background of it. So yeah. Now you talked a little bit about your orange and white truck and about getting to the scene, Nate, and then, going to Brothers, but you didn't say what kind of led you away from like the Chevelles, the Novas, the race cars. And then now how did you get this 72, your old orange and white? Okay. Yeah. How'd you get that? We'll just go there.
The orange and white truck, I knew I wanted to, I've been talking to Nate and I was like, yeah, man, I want to build a truck, but I got to find one. And at that time, I think I had a 65 Oldsmobile 80 Dynamic 88, super cool car, but we Good Guys was the big show for all that stuff. So me and a buddy of mine, Todd, we were Good Guys. And of course we got, we got there on the Friday morning, right when it started. And first thing we did is, up to the swap meet and walked the swap meet, and there sat this truck, and I think it was, I don't know, $3,500 or whatever. And it ran and drove and looked pretty clean. And, so man, I was under that thing like a freaking spider monkey, looking at everything, trying to, see if it was rusted or this or that, and I wanted it. And it was a pile, but whatever, it ran, it drove. And, I thought, yeah, hey man, for $3,500 or whatever it was, I can't go wrong. So just bought it right there at the swap meet. And it was a step side, and it had a black cab and a primer bed on it, or no, a primer front end and a black step side bed. And I hated step sides. Fleet sides to me were, where it was at. So I just got that truck, and first thing I did was sold the bed off of it. And then I found a fleet side bed and got the fleet side bed, put it together, put it on the truck. Then we got with Nate and got his, whatever you want to call it, the stage 1 lowering his airbag kit, which is basically you just replace the springs with the bags and put the cups, and, just so it's called the level 1, because I at that time, again, I didn't have the money to lay it on the ground, and, and he was still messing with his drop members then. So I just didn't have the money to do that stuff. So I just did what I could, and I knew I could do in my garage. And so that truck, it was cool, but it definitely wasn't on the ground. It was, as low as you could go on, all the factory suspension and stuff, but it was a cool truck, man. I love that truck.
When you're looking for classic Chevy or GMC truck parts, brotherstrucks.com is your #1 source for 1947 to 87 Chevy and GMC truck restoration parts. So whether you are restoring an original or looking to customize that classic truck, brotherstrucks.com has thousands of the highest quality truck parts for you to choose from. So head over to brotherstrucks.com and order your free catalog today. And don't forget to follow Brothers on Facebook and Instagram for daily updates and special offers too. Hey guys, how about a happy 10-year anniversary to the team at Pro Performance? For 10 years, Travis and his team have provided their customers the best products on the market for our trucks. They sell Dakota Digital, Bear Brakes, Boyd Welding, QA1, Vintage Air, and more. They're your one-stop shop for all your truck part needs, stocking fast-moving items to help with production delays. So think Pro Performance when you are creating that parts list for your build. azproperformance.com. That's azproperformance.com.
Since the 1960s, US Mags has held the title for the longest-running custom wheel tradition. Experience the wheels that made history and set the trends for American truck culture for decades to come. From cast wheels to full custom 1- and 2-piece forged wheels, US Mags keeps you and your truck in mind with every new design and model. Our cast wheel series are designed specifically for Chevy trucks and are stocked and ready to ship, giving you the wheels you need when you need them with perfect fitment. Set your ride apart with our custom forged wheels, available in just about any finish and fitment desired. US Mags are guaranteed to distinguish your style and attitude from the rest.
It was cool, but it definitely wasn't on the ground. It was, as low as you could go on, all the factory suspension and stuff, but it was a cool truck, man. I love that truck. And, but I drove it for what, 10 years or whatever. I had that truck finished for 10 or 11 years, and just it runs its course. And then it started sitting more than I was using it. And I built my 64, and it was all on the ground and, totally bagged. And, and I always want, after I built that truck, as soon as I got it done, after I built the orange and white truck, as soon as I got it done, of course you just look at it, like you just kick yourself because you're like, oh man, I should have put it on the ground. And so, that was, but I kept it because that was my truck that I built, the first one I built, and it had a lot of connection to that truck. Went from sorry about that. Yeah. Neighbors going by.
Yeah. Sounded like the Sasquatch running in the background.
Right. Yeah.
That's cool. That's so to kind of put it back, the train back on the rails. Okay. The 72, the orange and white. So we're just going to call that 72. Yep. So that was your ride, man. That was what we knew, Brian. Obviously I knew, cause I'm a big orange and white guy, and I always just, love that truck. Very clean truck. If I remember right, some like, 5-spoke, but they were chrome, like a torque thrust style wheel. What wheel was on your orange and white? I think you froze up. You got him jammed up jelly tight. Let's see what we got here. If he comes back on the
moving, but yeah, you're frozen up.
There we go. Okay, we got you back. So was it like a 5-spoke, like the old school billet chrome,
Yeah, man, it was the
American
high school, the high dollar Boss 338s, man.
Okay, yeah. So I had on this 68, I had the 338s on there. I had the boxes on there. Hey, don't forget, back then they were cool and they were cooler. They were just so cheap that everybody ended up getting them, and then it got to be too much. So I was always surprised that you sold that, just because that was like who you were, but I totally understand it at the same time. And the other thing too, that I thought was really cool is you used to drive the shit out of that truck. You always drive your vehicles. So the 72 was always going somewhere, man.
Yeah. I drove that truck to probably Brothers. I think I took that truck to Brothers probably at least a half a dozen times. Took it to Pomona swap meet a time or two. Then it was pretty much California. That truck pretty much went to California and back. I don't think I never took that truck to Texas or anything. That was, but then that was, Brothers was the show, man. I mean, we didn't have the Lone Star Throwdown and we didn't have all these other big shows. If you went to Dino's Get Down and Brothers Truck Show, man, you hit them all,
circuit. Yeah. For Arizona, we had good guys.
Good guy. Yeah, and it definitely went to. I went to a bunch of good guys. Yeah.
And I would say Severed has always been a good one. That was C10 Club or C10 Bato. He always Bato's Joe had Severed. That's probably been around, I don't know, 12.
I took it to Del Mar twice, and that was a fun show. Yeah, everybody that's been done the we haven't done it in a while too. We need to do another big C10 Club run to Del Mar, because there's some big stories that go. That show is we've had some crazy stories at the Morgan Run place, but that was always a good time.
Golf carts wrecking and people dying. Yeah, there's, people like 25 dudes all lined up eating breakfast at the same time. One of those type deals where everybody gets together from Arizona. So that would be kind of fun to do that. So the 72, it's sitting there. You've worked that girl hard. You've had a good run with her. And then you get the 64, which for you, most of the stuff you have, not really patina, this patina on point. Yep. I mean, so how'd you find that truck? What was the story with that? So
that truck, this guy that sold at one of my customers, it was a big structural steel place that I call on. This old guy, if you look up like a cross between a conspiracy theorist and a superstition miner, that would be like this dude's picture, right? And he was crazy, but he was cool as shit. And so I saw that truck, and it was a long bed, farm truck looking thing, and the dude just drove it to that place every single day. And, and I'm a big believer in just planting a seed sometimes, so of course I see the truck every day, and I just, every time I'd see it, hey man, you taking care of my truck? How's my truck doing? And I'd be there every week. So just over and over and over again, I kept talking to him, and he had my number. He was one of my contacts over there. So I'm sitting there about 8 o'clock at night one night, and my phone rings, and he says, hey man, I blew the engine in the truck. My wife wants a nice newer car. I got to have enough money for a down payment for a new car. And he's all, if you'll give me $1,500 for it right now tonight, then I'll sell it to you right now. But you've got to bring me the money right now. And he lived in like Southwest Phoenix, and I, live in East Mesa, of course, And I was like, I'm on my way. He's like, well, I don't have the title done yet. And I'm like, whatever, dude. If you need the $1,500, you tell me where you're at. I'll bring it. I literally brought the money to the dealership where he was at to put his down payment on whatever he was.
Like, I know where you work. We're good.
Yeah. So that's how I ended up with that truck. And then it just sat in my yard for a little while until I, start gathering parts and this and that and the other thing. And I knew I wanted to make a short bit out of it. And so it kind of stalled out for a little while, but then I was going to, we're going to throw it back even farther.
All right, back it up.
Beep, beep, just to things that happen then and don't happen anymore. I think it was the first one and done, there was the one and done at Dell's shop in Burbank that we did the AccuAir on Dino's 64 dually. Remember that?
Yeah, so that'd be the second one and done. We all went out to Dell's. We made a road trip.
Yep.
And we were working on was going to be a yellow 64.56 crew cab.
Yep.
You know, SEMA, this thing. We all went out there, and that was a great time.
The whole crew. Yeah, everybody went, you know, and so, but there was a guy that I kind of, you know, kept, you know, because then it was then you throw it back to the forums, right? And there was a guy that had a full Porterbuilt 63 to 66 chassis, and you know, Porterbuilt.
I remember that's how you got it. Oh, I totally remember that. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So this guy, he had it, and he was in Northern California, and I said, look, man, I'm going to Dell's. I'll meet you in Burbank. If you'll bring this thing down to Burbank, I'll take it. So again, like, you know how I road trip, like everybody's caravanning together, and I'm like, hey, it's his first stop. And then I'm like, see ya, I'll catch up with you.
Brian's always good on the group text, and then he disappears because he's gone. He's gone.
So I took off and beelined up, met this dude, paid him for the chassis, loaded up the chassis on my trailer, and then got back down to Dell's for the one and done. But by the time everybody got there, I already loaded up the chassis and had it on my trailer, and I was ready to go. So then I had the chassis with the full Porterbuilt front and rear. And this was like one of the version 1 Porterbuilt stuff, round tube, you know, old school stuff. But hey, man, it was cheap.
Oh, it was nice. I remember seeing it because you brought it to the show or to Dell's, and then we saw, you know, you're like, I just picked this up. And so, yeah, now you threw a little tidbit out there. Was that from the forum? Or we were on IG by that point. We were on Instagram.
That one actually was off the forum, because that was at the time when IG was like, IG was going, but the forum was still going too, you know? And so, you know, and I was pretty social media illiterate, you know what I mean? Like I just got on social media not too long before that, because I just, you know, I was like, that shit's for girls, you know, and whatever. And so, but then, you know, everybody finally convinced me to get on it, you know? And, but anyway, now I live on the thing. So it's, you know, it's kind of taken now my wife's like, that's the worst thing in the world is me and social media. So, but anyway, so I grabbed that chassis, and that gave me the whole foundation for that truck. And, you know, and so I grabbed that, took it back. And then after I had that chassis, it sat for just a little bit, but then, you know, we just went to town, Marcos, bullified Marcos, you know who he is. Yeah. So, he worked at Nate at that time. And so he came over and chopped the bed for me. And so I could learn and help and all that stuff. And my buddy Todd came over, and, you know, it was just a cool group effort, you know, some buddies. And we put that truck together inside of 6 months.
Well, and you say inside of 6 months, if I remember right, inside of a new shop simultaneously. I feel like
I just got my new shop.
I'm going to build a shop, and so that I remember seeing the truck, and it was like, oh shit, he just built the shop around the truck, and a lot going on, you know.
Yep. So
was that 5 years ago, maybe?
Probably 5 to 6. I guess it's, you know, days run into each other now anymore, but 5 to 7, let's call it 5 to 7. I don't remember exactly, but that truck was super cool. You know, I'm a big rat fink guy, right? You know, like I love rat fink. You know, and I never had a patina truck. I wanted to build a patina truck. That truck, like you said, I mean, that truck had patina for days, you know, and so built it, kept all the factory patina. We even went as far as to salvage as much as the factory bedwood as we could, and even cut it and splice it. And, you know, I got with Nick at Hubcaps, and, you know, he made some really cool fender, you know.
No, come on. Dude, the coolest. So one of the things on the hood rat, and I want to make sure we talk about this, a great talking point, is your little cup holders. Yeah, the Chevy only thing. So in the back, in your wheel wells, it had literally like, hey, we're hanging out at Dino's, we're hanging out at Del Mar, we're hanging out at Brian's, we're hanging out at an Arizona C10 Club meetup, and you can put your cold ones right there.
Yes, me and Nick were sitting there talking about, you know, he was going to do the, you know, because I just did it simple, you know, so instead of making the tubs all, you know, like, you know, so you couldn't tell they'd been widened or anything like that, we literally just cut the top off of them, made them flat. Nick bead rolled in the Chevy only logo right in the top. And then we were like, well, let's put some cup holders in each one. So we put 2 beer can holders, or, you know, whatever beverage holders in each one. And that truck was the coolest, man. You could just, hang out in the back of that truck, put all your cans in there, and just it was cool, man. And I didn't care if I didn't care if I slammed that truck into a freaking pole. Who cares? It just gave it more character,
Yeah.
So
Sure.
yeah.
Now what did you put an LS in it? What motor did you?
No, so I just had a Gen 1 small block. Yeah. The when I bought the chassis, it had an engine and transmission. And the guy, advertised it as good, but it wasn't. So, but anyway, so I went to rebuild it, and the block was cracked and this and that. So I just ended up putting just a crate 350 in it, just your standard black, GM, whatever they call Target Master 350,
Goodwrench 350.
Yeah, we put a cam in it. I had a old school Pete Jackson gear drive, so I stuck a gear drive in it. I had that on, bought that at a swap meet for like $50. Put a little bump stick in it, so it sounded cool with the gear drive, and it was awesome with the gear drive and the little cam in it. We put they call it the budget locker for the rear, and so we had one of those. Bought that at a swap meet for $50. Put all that stuff in there, and everything was rebuilt, but still it was all just stuff that we picked up at swap meets and stuff. Put a new engine in it, rebuilt the transmission, went through the whole, put a nice interior in the truck, painted the inside of the cab. Rewired the entire truck, the whole shooting match, and but yeah, that's how we run it. And then my neighbor Al, he's super talented pinstriper, and he did some wicked pinstriping on that truck. Did the flying eyeball on the hood, and the rat fink on the back, the rat fink on the glove box, and then he nicknamed the truck the Hood Rat. And so instead of putting the RF on the rat fink, he put HR for Hood Rat. And I don't know if you can see, but I actually have the rat fink tattoo, and I actually have the HR on it because that's the exact rat fink off the glove box of that truck. So, that's how much, it means to me, these trucks are, to me, they're trucks, but they mean a lot to me, so, obviously I have tattoos of most, anything that's been in a magazine on me. So,
Yeah, I got that written down. So you've got your 72. That was the first one, if I remember right. Sure. You've got the Hood Rat, and then you've got the 77, and then you've got the Rat Fink. I remember seeing kind of all those. And then you have on there, you have HR on the Rat.
On the Rat Fink. Yep. Just because that's my buddy named my buddy named that truck, and and that's a kind of a sad, not it's not. Hopefully it doesn't go as sad as it could be, but Al right now has stage 4 colon cancer, and so he's in a fight of his life right now. And so, to me that that even like I even feel better about having that stuff on me right now.
More honored, right? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Now, is that the same guy? I remember one time he was painting something on your 77 as well, like on the back.
Yeah, he did. We saw him. I really like the Mr. Horsepower, and so he one shot painted the Mr. Horsepower woodpecker head with a cigar in his mouth and all that on the back window of my 77. And
that also kind of like the Thrush guy, right?
Thrush. Yeah, Mr. Horsepower,
dude. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when I came, graduated 91, all that stuff, the flying eyeball, the Mr. Horsepower, the Thrush, that was all cool stuff. And I'm still all really into all that stuff.
Well, now this is going to be, the audience is not going to have any clue about this, but you said, Mesa Votech, and I was laughing because that's no more Mesa Votech.
No, EVIT now. Yeah.
Yeah. Once you say Mesa Votech, you definitely you dated yourself.
I just aged myself. Yes, because everybody's like, "What the hell is Mesa Votech?"
Yeah, I think they probably changed it right around 90, right then, 92, 93.
Yeah, they had to. I mean, honestly, man, I was a horrible student. As far as regular high school went, and that the only reason I made it through school was Mesa Votech, and I had this teacher that literally would have been fired and prosecuted by the way he, took care of his class and some of the stuff that he pulled. But we had the best time, and we learned, we basically ran a shop out of our class, and, and we just, we learned, but you learned real life, and it wasn't all this, whatever you want to call it, crap they have now. It was like, if you were an idiot, he'd freaking call you an idiot and smack you upside the head and, all that good stuff. So, just like it should be.
Yeah, he was old school. He sounds like a guy that would make his kid work $3 an hour to pay off a $500 truck. And
yeah.
So, you know, we look back at some of these men that used to beat us up and freaking, you know, like you said, I had a football coach, the same thing, be fired and prosecuted, damn near was. And, you know, ultimately it made us who we were today. And you kind of look back now and you're like, it's kind of funny. It's kind of a cool thing, right? Like,
it's like, well,
I could picture your shop teacher already, your automotive guy. He's wearing like 501s, New Balances, probably smokes all the time. You know, and just it's the same type of guys, right? And they made America they're all Vietnam vets, and they're like, you little pansies. And now, you know, the world that we live in now is just this, and we're those guys. I laugh. I'm at work and I laugh because I'm that old guy that's just like, are you kidding me now?
You know what's funny, and just you know, like you know, I'm not going to name any names, but just today, over at Tray 5, one of our guys didn't show up because he broke up with his girlfriend. And I looked at Jeremy and I'm like, dude, you know, if we would have not went to work because we broke up with our girlfriend, one, we'd have been ridiculed for life, and two, we'd have been fired on the spot, you know. And it just goes to show, like, it's just a different world, you know, just different breed, you know.
We had the same thing. We had a guy at work, a younger guy we hired, and his dog was sick or something. So that, you know, he had to call out sick because nobody could take care of his dog or something. I'm like, I don't even know. I'm like, whatever, dude. I'm on a different world. So it's funny how the 25-year increments go and where we're at today. So, okay. So I love the Mesa Votech reference. We need to bust out some old Mesa Votech shirts or something.
I still have my coveralls, and I still actually have some of that stuff.
I was thinking, I'm like, dude, that's so cool. Okay. So then how the hell, I just didn't feel like you had the hood rat as long, right? I remember once it was finished, you drove it, and then I just was like gone.
I had a good time with it. And, but then I quickly realized that I like painted trucks.
Yeah.
I like air conditioning, and I like LS's. So, you know, I mean, it was a cool truck, but it just wasn't, I enjoyed it, but I could only drive it. You know, I only wanted to drive it when it was nice out. So it sat a lot. And then, you know, I was like, man, you know, I'd like to have air conditioning in this thing. And it's just not as reliable as the LS's, you know, I just, you know, I got that LS, got into those and got hooked on them, and I'll never go back, you know, but I'm glad I built that truck the way I built it, just because I wanted to get it done. And it was a relatively low dollar truck, you know, I mean, in today's standards for sure, you know, and then, and I had fun with it. I had a great time with it. And it was just one of those deals where, you know, people put up these posts every now and again, you know, hey, have a big budget, or, you know, have a nice budget for a nice truck. Is your truck for sale? You know, and me, of course, you know, I'm opportunist, right? So I put up a picture of the truck. Next thing I know, I get a message, and, you know, like 2 days later, the truck's in Kentucky. So, you know, it was just like, okay, you know, so that was, that was, and I had my 72 still. So I had another truck, and, you know, so I was like, okay, see you later, you know, and, you know, and I was, and I already decided, you know, when I do another one of those, which I probably will at some point, you know, I like the patina truck thing. I'll probably do another one, but when I do, it'll be LS, air conditioning, and, you know, a few different things, because you know how it is, you build a truck, and as soon as you finish it, I mean, 5 minutes after you finish it, you can look over it and be like, I would do that different, that different, that different, that different, and that different next time. So you're already like rebuilding the truck in your head. But I learned that, you know what, just leave it alone and let somebody else take it and have fun with it. And I'll start over on another one instead of just keeping to rebuild this one and put, you know, the next thing you know, you got $150,000 in a, you know, $37,000 truck.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's cool too that you had the 72 still, because that made, you know, it easier. And then it gave you a little bit of a new love for the 72, right? So you say, hey, I got the 64, I got the hood wrap for a while, and now I'm back to the 72. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So you sell the 64, and then where did the 77 come in? Because the 77s had you know, it's started out one way, ended up another way.
Yep.
And so take us in.
So so the 77, you know,
now, was there a 2-wheel drive Blazer somewhere in there? I
had a Tahoe. Yeah, a 2-wheel drive Tahoe. I never had a Blazer, but I had an OBS Tahoe, and that was after the 77 though, or after, I don't know, you know, amongst all those. But no, I never had a 2-wheel drive Blazer.
After hood rat, still got 72. Then you get the 77.
Yep. Yeah. And that kind of gave me the money to go, I bought the 77, my wife, God bless her, we're on vacation in San Diego, the one of the few times we get to decompress, and we just checked into the hotel room, and I was, of course, going through Instagram, and Tino, Max Built Tino, he posts this super clean, short bed on his thing, for sale for, I don't know what it was, whatever, but my wife's in there unpacking. I'm on the phone on the balcony, like just dealing. And my wife just comes out and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I go, "I'm buying a truck." And she's like,
"On the way home, we need to stop in Indio."
Yeah. She's, "Are you kidding me?" And I was like,
I wish I was. Look at the ocean, babe.
Yeah. So I'm on the balcony of our hotel on our vacation, a little long weekend deal, spend a half an hour on the balcony. I bought that truck from Tino, and, worked out a deal with him, and he brought it out the next week. And it was just a super clean OG little truck. And, he brought it out.
Original paint.
Yeah. Original paint. It may have had a repaint or something, but, like here and there, but it was the original color, and, and then it was all faded. And so it was all, oxidized, and it looked straight as could be. And it was, until I polished it out after we built it. But, anyways, so I bought that truck, and I just drove it around, Tino brought it out, and I drove it around for, I don't know, I probably put, a couple thousand miles on that truck, just wheeling it around town. I had the 15-inch Steelies on it, and, the OG small block, and air conditioning blew cold, and it was this hideous looking green interior. And the truck was the sea foam, or whatever you want to call it, whatever. I don't know what that color was when it started life, but, it was a cool little truck, greenish blue. And, so, I cruised it around long enough, and then, and I can't remember what happened, but, I had talked to Nate, and then somehow I had a complete full Porter-Built Extreme kit for a square body short bed. And so I was like, well, I got this.
Fell into your lap.
Yeah. There's a whole story behind that, but we don't need to go into that today.
Okay. But, somehow you got it.
Yeah. So I got this complete Porter-Built Extreme kit, and I had a complete AccuAir setup, and I had, I had some wheels.
I remember this now. Now I remember.
Yeah,
okay. I
got all this stuff, right?
I think I was part of some of the, I think I had a little bit of a role in some of this. Now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So anyway,
audience, just hit me up down the road. Well, after the statute of limitations is completely gone.
Anyways, it's all good.
I remember this now.
Yeah. Nothing but love, but you know what I mean? It's,
this is so funny.
So I got a whole bunch of stuff, and I got this truck, and I'm just like, sweet, And, but then I had this problem at the time that Frontier had gotten to the point where it was a monster, and I didn't have time to build my own stuff anymore. 100%. I didn't have time to build my own stuff. So, at that point, I had been, Jeremy at Trey 5 had gotten to be a little bit bigger of a shop, and he moved into his first legitimate shop, not doing it as not that he wasn't legitimate before, but, like he actually got a shop and had a storefront. And so, the Frontier truck, I was still running her out then. I was going by every couple of weeks, selling them all the stuff, and we'd become pretty good friends, Del Mar, all that stuff. So, and so it's funny how you think about all the relationships that have cultivated out of this scene. And it's crazy, And so that's me and Jeremy become good friends. And I had all this stuff, and I just went to Jeremy then, and I said, "Hey man, I'd really like to build this 77. I have everything, not everything, but I have pretty much everything for it. Do you want to build it for me?" And Jeremy was like, "Man," I would love to build that truck for you. And I'm, honored that you would come to me to build it, and this and that, And I was like, "Well, honestly, you're one of the only guys that I see that kick stuff out in a reasonable amount of time." And at that point I wanted my truck done, So I went to Jeremy, and I was like, "Yeah, man, let's go." And so we did. And he built that truck in, I don't know, less than 6 months. Took everything to him, and I got a 130,000 mile 5.3 pull out, and took it over there, and, he did a compression test on it, did the old Krylon freaking overhaul on her, made her look Chevy orange and, as nice as it could be. And, Frank and Eye Candy, he smoothed the firewall and did all that stuff. And at that point I wasn't going to paint the truck, cause I didn't know, I just sold the 64. I was like, well, hey, I did pretty good on that. So I don't know, I'm just going to see how this goes. I'm going to see how much I really like this truck. So I got the truck done, and
if I remember, that truck there was a lot of tech, right? Because Jeremy was doing, Jeremy being the Tray 5 for the audience, doing a lot of tech. So that truck is covered a few different times in Street and or the Builder's Guide.
Yeah. So that truck, I think it had one of Travis's very first Revelator brake kits on it. If not the first one, if it wasn't the first one, it was very, very in the very beginning, Travis at Arizona Pro. So it had a tech article on that. I can't even remember all the tech articles it had, but it had a bunch of tech articles done on it. And then,
we lost him a little bit here. He's froze up. He's jammed up. Yep. We got you back. Okay. So we got the tech article, Revelator.
Yeah. Tech article, the Revelators. There was a bunch of other tech articles that I don't remember exactly what all they were. But anyway, so Jeremy gets the truck done for me, and, there's a run to Pomona, the swap meet, in 3 days. And so, it was Yezi and, Rob and all those guys, were making a Pomona run. And I was like, man, that's cool. Let's go, and Jeremy's like, you're going to run this truck to Pomona? It's only been done for 3 days. And I was like, I'm not scared. Whatever. Let's go. Let's find out how good this thing really is. So I remember that, because it was 3 days, and I think Jeremy was so nervous that I think he called me every half hour on that trip to see how it was going. But man, I just remember that trip because that was when Yezi had it was before SS01 was SS01. It was a Blue Jay.
When he had those white wheels on there.
Yeah, wasn't it Blue Jay, or what was it called? Blue Jay.
That was it could be Ivy League. So so you got to remember, Blue Jay became Ivy League, and Ivy League became SS01 because there was some truck swapping and frame swapping.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, and maybe it was SS01, but anyway, I don't remember what it was. But anyway, all I remember is the truck's 3 days old, and me and Yezi are blowing through the desert doing 100 miles an hour for a lot longer than we should have been. And I'm just AC's cranking, and one hand on the steering wheel, the other hand on my freaking QT iced tea. And we're just hauling ass, man. And, and that truck just motored all the way there.
30,000 mile pull out, ready to flip. Tray 5, baby. We got you.
Yeah. I mean, it just freaking, it just went, and we got to Pomona, had a great time. I think it threw a transmission code. But I was smart enough to bring my little code reader. So I cleared.
It's had a 4L60. Just had
a 4L60. Yeah. Yep. So I cleared the code, and it actually ended up smoking the transmission. That's what was the transmission was starting to go.
That was the code.
I don't remember. It was just, this pile of shit code, Yeah. So anyways, we got back, and it ran great. And I, about 2 months later, I ended up changing the transmission out just because it was going away, and we just were trying to catch it with the tune, and it just was going away. So, but, put a transmission in it, but that was, just because it was 130,000 mile pull out, and, so I had so much fun doing that. And then I drove the wheels off that truck, and with it being that patina color, and had a great time with it. And then I was like, you know what? I like this truck. It's on the ground. It's everything that I want. It's, not missing a lick. And so then I decided, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to polish it out first and see how I like it polished out. Oh, don't ever do that. So I had I think it was Albert at Old School Detail came, and he polished it out. And oh Lord, you could see 37,000 door dings, and you could surf down the side of that truck, and I was just like, oh Lord, that was the worst thing I ever did, because now I hated it the way it looked, because it just looked horrible. It looked great when it was all oxidized. So then I was like, okay, I got to paint it, and then I don't know I was talking to Dino one day, and I said, I need to get this truck painted, and he's all, why don't you call Tino? Well, and going back, everybody that doesn't know Tino's history, he had a whole different deal, but then he started his body shop, and it just never even came to my mind. So I called Tino up, and I was like, hey, do you want to paint this thing? And he's like, yeah, so me and him came to a deal and took it over there, and he did the white and the yellow. And
how did you pick that?
He did 6 different spray outs, because I really bright colors, so my 72 was that crazy orange and white pearly, and I went to PPG and probably did 30 spray outs before we picked the color on that truck. And I went to Tino and I was like, I've always wanted a yellow and white square. So I told him, I said, but I want a crazy yellow and I want a crazy white. And so he literally did all these spray outs, and he would like overnight me spray outs and, UPS mailers. And I would be like, yes, no, not going to do it. This did it, that. And finally he's like, now I know what you want. And he did the spray outs for me and sent them. I took them out in the sun and I was like, that's it, man. And so he just went to town, and I wanted the full trim. It had just the 77, one thing of trim down on the lower door, but I wanted the full two-tone. And so he put the trim on it, drilled all the holes, put all the glass in it. I mean, he just, he freaking knocked it out of the park on that thing, and that was just that truck to me. I mean, like everybody was like, yellow, you're going to paint it yellow, really? And everybody was, I got a lot of negative comments about painting it yellow, but then when I got that truck done, everybody that saw it in person was like, holy crap, that thing looks good. So, I think that truck.
What you ended up doing on the interior, since you switched it out from the, the blue green to the yellow?
Yeah. So the interior actually was done already when I got it from Jeremy. We did like a brown. So we did like a dark brown and a tan. Steve had elevated, wrapped the dash, the A pillars, the B pillars, put the headliner in it, the carpet. So that was all done when I got it back the first time. So it was all interiored and everything. But yeah, I went to the browns, and then with the yellow and white, that just went hand in hand with the brown. And so, but yeah, that it was just beautiful inside, and then when Tino did the paint job on it, it just pushed that thing over the top. And then that truck that truck changed a lot of people's minds about yellow and what about yellow. I'll tell you that's for sure. Yeah.
And it popped. It was bright. You'd see it coming. It was, a mile away. It stood out.
Yeah.
For sure. Definitely a different truck. People would not think it was the same truck.
No. Yeah. Yeah. There were so many people that had no idea it was the same truck.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah. And it was in Street Trucks when it was green, and it was in CK when it was yellow and white. So yeah, it was actually in two different magazines, and I don't know how many people even connected that it was the same truck.
Yeah, for sure. Cause they don't look at all alike at all. You wouldn't even know. So, okay. So then what happened with that truck?
So that truck, I kept it for, I drove, I don't know, 2 years, 2.5 years, whatever. Drove the wheels off it, took that truck everywhere. I'm sure I drove that truck more than I drove the 72. Had a great time with that truck. And then I was again sitting there on the freaking stupid social media one night, and this guy posts up, want a really nice square body, has to be on the ground, have a nice budget. So what did I do? I posted up a picture and said, can be bought. 3 minutes later, he's instant messaging me. 2 days later, he's in my driveway handing me cash. So down the road went to 70, down the road went to 77. But it's kind of cool because 77 is here local. The guy that bought it, his name is Roger Wilson. He is probably the most grateful guy that I've ever seen give thing. I mean, just loves it. And so do I. And that one actually hurt, and it still hurts to this day, because right now, the coolest thing I'm driving is my 90 OBS. So it, that kind of still, that stings a little bit, but I'm doing my dually right now. So I'll be okay in a little while, a few months, I'll be a lot better. But
we're going to talk about the dually, and the 90's pretty rad. So don't.
Yeah. The 90's cool, but it's not square body cool or 72 cool. It's, it's just not the same, but yeah, the 90 is pretty rad. It's a nice truck.
So then the 77 simultaneously, you start building the 68 Suburban, right? The Blues Traveler.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. So right after the 77 was done, because I had such a good experience with Jeremy, my wife, she, I told her, I said, hey, we bought this Suburban for her, I don't know, a few years previous, and I had a Porterbuilt kit for it, of course. And, all that stuff sitting there, and I'd actually started working on it, but of course I would be lucky to get 8 hours every 2 weeks in my shop. And we all know how fast you're going to get a truck built in 8 hours every 2 weeks. So we had such a good experience with Jeremy. I talked to him unbeknownst to my wife knowing about it. And I just said, hey, what do you think about building the Suburban? And he's all, man, that'd be great. Take it to SEMA. He had some good ideas. And I said, well, I need you to get with my wife, because it's her truck. I want her to be the one that drives this, what she wants. And so I told her, and she was just over the moon for it. And then her and Jeremy got together, and then the Blues Traveler was born. And a lot of super cool stuff on that. Huge. It had the biggest rag top that Legacy had ever made, 48 by 102, and just all kinds of cool stuff. The 525 LS3 6-speed manual. Just super cool truck. And Jeremy built that for us the very next year, and we took that to SEMA in 18, I think it was.
So back up a little bit. When you were going to build the Suburban for Mickey, let's just say it's 10, okay? Trey 510, whatever you guys, because obviously AccuAir outside, the biggest friggin' rag top, thing's awesome.
Yeah.
Up for street truck of the year. What level were you what was the vision? 7?
Probably. I probably could have pulled off maybe a 7. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but not that you could have pulled it off, but what was your vision? Was your vision just like,
we
I don't think it was what it was.
It wasn't going to be a rag top, because like if she'd asked me to cut that size of hole in the top, I told her, I said, you're out of your freaking gourd.
Yeah.
But that Jeremy and them have that skill set, and I don't. So it would have been cool. It would have just been slammed, and the bed floor raised, and and I'd already actually taken it over to Nick at Hubcaps and started doing little stuff. He put like the Kindig door handles in and fixed the rust, and put it on a body cart. And he had started on it, like doing that, the heavy sheet metal stuff, and I'd started mocking up the chassis, the front drop member, the rear drop member, all that stuff. And then, but it was just going nowhere, and so that's when I was, I just told my wife, I was like, look, I can fuck with this thing for 5 years, or we can just get it built so you can have some fun with it.
Yeah, that's tough because 5 years and it ends up being 7 years. And then I struggle with that all the time. Your kids, your kid's like, oh yeah, we'll get to it. And then you just don't get to it. So there's a balance of figuring out, hey, do you want to enjoy this thing? And you having a previous boss who's passed away, personal great friend who's got stage 4 colon cancer. And you're just like, hey, do you want to look at this thing in the shop, or do you want to spend some money and enjoy the shit out of it?
Yeah. It's, we'll make more money. You know what I mean? It's
good for you guys and good for her. That's So
that's how the Suburban came around, and that's her truck. It's, I take it anywhere, and everybody's like, is that yours? I'm like, no, it's my wife's, every time I will never take credit that Suburban is mine. I drive it sometimes, but I always tell, the wife let me take the cool car out, because I ask her permission. If I'm going to take it, I ask her permission. So, but yeah, it's cool, man. I dig it. I love driving it, but now she's actually talking about wanting to do a square Blazer. So, I think that we got another one coming up on deck for her one of these days too. So.
Yeah, that the one thing about that, and I remember interviewing you guys at SEMA, is that she put that 6-speed in there. That's one thing where it's like, no, she wanted a 6-speed.
Yeah, because I was like, well, because I bought the whole
manual. I should make sure I preference a manual 6-speed.
Yeah, manual 6-speed. Yeah, because I bought the whole Connect and Cruise package thinking that I had a step side that I was gonna build that never came to fruition. Anyway, so I had a whole 525 horse Connect and Cruise 6-speed manual. I had all that stuff sitting there. Again, it seems like whenever I get ready to build something, for some reason or another, I've collected a bunch of parts, and then I just got a whole bunch of stuff ready to go. And so, but that it just, again, all kind of worked out. I had a lot of the major components, and we just went to town on it.
Yeah, what a cool story. And she loves the thing. She probably gets a ton of looks in that thing. Different, and just like everything else at the Vowell house, you guys drive it.
Yeah, we try. It doesn't get driven as much as it should, and I guess none of our stuff does. But I drive them. Like if you see me out on the weekends, it'll be a good chance that I'm in one of my cooler trucks. My OBS right now, my OBS or whatever. You know what I mean? I try to drive that stuff on the weekends all the time.
Yeah, it's cool. Okay, so now you and Jeremy have got a couple builds under your belt, and then you become somewhat entangled into the Trey 5 system.
So you bought a C10, and it either had AC at one time or it wasn't even an option. Well, Vintage Air has the solution for you. Their SureFit kits are designed to place the evaporator and hoses behind the dash for a factory clean look. In most cases, the SureFit systems will be controlled by your stock dash controls using their exclusive cable converters. The Gen 4 kit provides infinite, just right temperature, air blending, and blower fan speed adjustments. The Vintage Air SureFit kits are the best value and the most completely engineered air conditioning system you can install in your C10. Add the fact that Vintage Air has been the most respected name in performance aftermarket climate control systems for 40 years. 40 years? Damn, son. The choice is obvious. VintageAir.com.
C10 Nation, what's stopping you? Well, CPP has you covered. They offer multiple different options to make the disc brake conversion as easy as possible on both you and your wallet. From stock height conversions to their Big Brake Grand Slam kit. How's your altitude? You need to get a little lower? CPP has you covered there too. They offer a wide variety of drop kits for you to choose from. Head over to ClassicPerform.com, that's ClassicPerform.com, to save big today. You've heard me talk about my gauges, Dakota Digital. I love them. Don't forget the interior of your build. Dakota Digital has the best gauges for our trucks. Whether you want a direct fit into the stock bezel or something custom. These kits are complete with sensors for any engine. The new RTX series is really incredible. I think it stands for retro, but it should stand for rad. They look just like the stock clusters, but have all the technology you'd expect from Dakota Digital. You can change the lighting colors, customize the reading in the message centers, and do it all from the mobile app. That's right, the HDX and RTX series have Bluetooth technology, so you can mess with them from your phone. Just don't do it while you're driving. I'm looking at RPM, trip odometer, percent fuel, oil pressure, and now I have the GPS set up. I can tell you direction, elevation, and even outside temp. Damn, son, it's like a modern truck, but even better in a classic. Dakota Digital is absolutely the best in aftermarket gauges, so check them out at dakotadigital.com. dakotadigital.com. And you can follow them on Instagram and Facebook too.
Yeah. So again, friendships, relationships, I had Jeremy build two vehicles for me, and just getting to know him, when you do two builds with somebody, you talk to him a lot, about everything,
Well, and you're delivering parts there. So you're not just there with your builds. He's a customer of yours, and you guys have a relationship over a longer period of time. Like you said, the old days of Jeremy was 2-car garage doing cutting down a short bed and, street trucks tech. And now he's got first shop, second shop, gets bigger,
yep.
So forth.
Yeah. So I'd gotten to know him real well. We did those two builds, and getting to know him, I'm a business guy, so I'm always asking questions. I'm always, my mind's always working. And so I'm like, man, how much work are you turning away? And he's like, most of it, and so we just got to talking, and he just didn't have the manpower, didn't have the space, didn't have the tools to get bigger, I guess, at the time. And I'm at that point then where Frontier's getting big enough. I'm really trying to start getting out of the truck now. I'm trying, I'm becoming a manager. I'm learning how to become a manager instead of working a route truck every day. And it's that question, and you ask yourself this: if I could get up in the morning and not have to worry about money, would I go build cool trucks, or would I sell shop supplies? If money didn't matter, right? Well, if money didn't matter, it's a pretty obvious question. I'd go build trucks all day, right? So me and Jeremy talked, and, he needed an infusion to get where he needed to be. And I had that, and I wanted to be a big part of it. So me and him made a deal, and I bought 50% of Tray 5, and I brought the business side to it, because that's where my forte is. I'm really good with just business itself, money, managing, just all that stuff. He's definitely by far a way better builder than I am. But I bring an equal set of skills on the business side of things, and every business needs both sides to be successful. So that's what I did. I brought the business side, and then me and him partnered up, and that's been a little over 3 years now. And we went from, it was him and Pio, and now we've got, five guys right now. We went from one shop to now we have 3 of those, 2,500 square feet to 7,500 or 8,000 square feet. I think we have I don't even know, 18 builds on the books right now. And it's just, it's just snowballed, man, and it just allowed it allowed me to get involved more in the world that I am truly passionate about. And it allowed him to grow his business. And, and I own half of that. And so, and I'll never take credit for the builds. I'll never take credit for any of that stuff. I'm really quiet, I'm not in the videos. I'm not, that's not, I don't really care about that stuff, but we work really well together. Jeremy likes to show off and I like to make money. So between the two of us, we find that common ground, and it seems to so far have worked really well for us,
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, we've seen the expansion, the quality of the builds. I mean, Jeremy's probably has more time to be out there with the guys, whereas he doesn't have to worry about all that business shit that you whether you relish it or not, you handle because of all your experience. So if I remember right, you do 2 days out there, then you kind of have a system down.
Yeah. So I do 2 days at Tray 5, which is, for people that aren't familiar with Phoenix here, between where I live and where Frontier is and Tray 5 is like an hour. So 50, almost 60 miles between the two. So yeah, I spend 2 days a week at Tray 5. I spend 2 days a week at Frontier, and then Fridays, I just kind of float. I just do whatever needs doing. I really try hard to take as many Fridays off as I can now. But I just do whatever needs doing. It just seems like there's always, at least 3 or 4 hours worth of just stuff, that has to be handled, or whatever didn't get handled, or, you just want to get done for the next week because you don't want to be behind or whatever. And so, yeah, I just split my time between the two, and my wife, she's all for it. It's she says it keeps keeps me much more even keeled, and it keeps my stress level way down, because that's kind of my release over there. I call Tray 5 my fun job.
Yeah, we lost him again, but I think he's saying Tray 5 is his fun job and Frontier is it's a stressful job. Let's see if we get him back here on the I'm gonna have to bump up his Tray 5 wireless cricket plan here. We're gonna get you back here, Brian. Oh, we get you back. Tray 5. Tray 5 is your fun job, and Frontier is probably I'm word ad-libbing is your stressful job.
Yeah, well, I call it my real job. Yeah, Tray 5 is my fun job. Frontier is my real job. So yeah, yep. And but yeah, I like it that way. Keeps that variety going, and keeps me more focused at both places. So I actually do a better job at both places when I'm there, because I'm not burnt out on any one of them.
Yeah, that's cool. And what you've been able to do from when you look back over the company history of Frontier, and now, and you look at the history, obviously whatever you're doing is working, because when Brian gets there, Brian gets involved, Brian, things are growing, and the proof is in the pudding. Now, talk about growing is one thing that I want to make sure we talk about before we get into your crew cab that you're currently building, is what you do in your role within the C10 Club. I mean, you are the main guy, at least it seems like it. I mean, I know you've got some different suitors throughout, or some different helpers throughout the state, but our C10 Club in Arizona is really, we're blessed, and we're lucky to have somebody that's a point of contact, and from all the Christmas drives. And that's how I'm always like, okay, what truck am I putting a toy in that's Brian's truck this year? Where we're going, whatever we're going to fill up. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. You got in, you kind of took over C10 Club, or you created it, and you got merch. You guys were at the reunion. You guys are setting up, you're selling, and our community would not be what you talk about. You alluded to it a little earlier. The scene in Arizona, we had good guys, and we had Dinos, and maybe a few other little shows here. Now our community and our scene has been, it's in the last 7 years, 8 years, it's just been nothing but nuts. So we've been blessed, and we're lucky. And I like to remind people that we don't take it for granted, because when you're in the middle of a movement, you got to try to remember you're in a movement so that when you don't look back, you don't think, oh, I wish I would have remembered how good it was. Even talking about Del Mar, even talking about going to Brothers, even talking about running, on I-10, when you're throwing tranny codes. I mean, those are all fun times that we had and the ventures that we went on. And I think that, our C10 Club, the community that we have in Arizona is awesome. And you're the absolute number one reason why.
Well, I thank you. And I got to tell you, I don't remember how many years ago. I think it's been like 5 or 6 years now that I've been running the C10 Club Arizona. Then this goes back to, Renee, C10 King Renee, he was and still is, the founder, the big guy of the C10 Club. We owe nationwide, though, the entire C10 Club to that original group of guys, Renee, Ace, Kevin, John Oro, those guys are the original C10 Club. And I got to know all those guys in California. They welcomed me so much, going back to the 72 days. And it was just, they made me feel like they had known me my entire life. And so as I got more involved in the scene, and I think it was, we were at Dino's Get Down, and aside from Dino's Get Down, there was nothing, like, we didn't have C10 Club meets in Arizona. We didn't have any of that stuff. We had Dino's Get Down, and then we had Brothers Trucks. But as far as any kind of organization of any kind of meets in Arizona, we didn't have any, and I was talking to John Oro, and I was like, man, why don't we do something? And there was a kid named Donnie Holman that had just like grabbed the C10 Club name and started doing stuff. And I'd asked John Oro about it, and he's all, yeah, it wasn't really sanctioned or whatever, but it's great, he's doing it. And so I got in touch with him and said, hey, I talked to John Oro, let's do something with this. We have this huge scene here. Let's do something with it. And so I started working with him, and he just kind of quickly dropped out of the scene, and that was never the intention. But he just kind of went away. He was a little involved for a year or so. And then I just, my whole thing was I enjoyed it, so that I enjoy the truck meets. I enjoy the scene. I enjoy doing stuff. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to do one meet every single month. And I'm going to make sure that I do one meet every single month. And from the time that I got involved in it, I think we might've missed 2 months, maybe 3 at the top, and it's always, to me, it hasn't been about the big shows. It hasn't been about, making any money, it's not about that. It's just about people meeting up, hanging out, cruising their trucks, catching up, just having a good time, and with no pressure, just go have a good time. Almost like the old days when everybody met up at the pavilions every Saturday night or whatever, but C10 specific, and so we just started that, and, and it's just slowly, but it seems like everything I do, I'm not one of those guys. I don't come out of the chute, and do something, like monstrous overnight. That's just, I don't know why. I've never been that guy. But I just grabbed it, grassroots, and every month, like, let's do this meet, let's do that meet, let's do this meet, let's do that meet, and let's move it around. Let's go to the east side. Let's go to the west side. Let's go to Switch. Let's go to Arizona Pro. Let's go to SoCal. Let's go to, just people that are involved in the scene. Let's just go highlight these businesses, get everybody over there, get everybody involved. And so just over the years, it's just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. Not that it's huge, but our meets have turned out to be okay. It's just a lot of fun. I run Arizona as a 100% nonprofit. I don't make I don't make $5. I don't put $5 of the club money in my pocket. It doesn't mean anything to me. It's not about making money for me. It's just about getting the C10 Club out there and having a good time and bringing everybody together. And then, at the end of the year, every year we've partnered with Phoenix Children's for several years. This last year we changed up and did the Peoria Firefighters toy drive, which was really cool because, they really went out of their way and they really wanted us involved in that. And that was kind of a nice feeling. The Phoenix Children's, not that there's anything wrong with Phoenix Children's, and it's a great organization, but it's just a little commercial, I guess. And there wasn't a lot of, I don't know what you want to call it, but anyways, we just chose
Well,
to
ultimately the gratitude of when you're Phoenix Children's, it's like, they're the bigger monster, whereas you keep it, smaller. And with, we've got different members that are Peoria firefighters and different people that are involved in our scene. So 100%. We got
yeah,
keeping it. And that's, even like John does the, sparks of love or whatever. And it's the more local you can keep that stuff, the better. The less hands involved is obviously a better thing. So yeah, kudos to the toy drive. Again, I'm always trying to announce, you, John, are pretty consistent. Texas has done it a few times, and then Brian Ashley, Tennessee. And I know we've had a few other where, come that December time, I'm always looking like, okay, who's getting ready to do their toy drive, the second or third week, where's it going to be? Let's get these toys. And for the audience, if you've got a C10 Club chapter, reach out to your homies, figure out, what they're doing, and whether it's a toy drive, whether it's a cruise, whether it's a meetup. And what Brian does is, just, hey, I mean, social media makes it, easy. And then it's like, hey, if you guys want to meet up, we're going to meet up. If there's 5 of you, have fun, you'll meet, you break bread, maybe eat a couple tacos, and then, head on down the road. But you'd be surprised before you know it, there'll be 50 of you.
Yeah, we we've done this cruise to Casa Grande every year. It's kind of been our big deal that we've done as far as the C10 Club goes. And man, this last year was phenomenal. City of Casa Grande, they got together when somebody in the club, again, social media said, hey, I'm on the board of something down there. And at first I didn't take any stock in it. I was like, okay, whatever. And then, but the guy messaged me and we started messaging back and forth, and it actually ended up being something, and they it was the Casa Grande Main Street Association, and they got us barricades and closed off the whole downtown Main Street thing. And, super cool, it's like old school 50s looking, movie theater down there, and just super cool vibe down there. And we ended up with over 140 trucks.
Yeah, I heard. I was off. I was excited.
Yeah,
exactly what happened too. My daughter got cleared for track meet, and so I was like, you got to be kidding me. But
hey,
that's
family first, though.
What are you gonna do? There's not going to be a lot of track meets left in the future. So it was one of those deals where it's like, hey, I've got this window. But yeah, that was kind of crazy. But I heard absolutely just an amazing turnout, and the pictures look cool because again, you've got all these trucks parked in, backed in, and the downtown Casa Grande is Casa Grande is kind of stuck in that that older year. My brief 3-month college career, I went to CAC down in Casa Grande. So Arizona College. That's what it's for the audience. They're like, what is CAC? So what did they have? They had a business plan or an automotive plan or something?
Yeah, they had a heavy. I won out of Mesa Votech. I won one of the skill competitions, and I won actually a full ride scholarship to their heavy equipment program. And I went down there, and after 3 months, I was like, I'm done. So, anyways, but so I, like I say, my brief 3-month college career was in Casa Grande. So it's, it's a cool little town, and not that that had anything to do with it, but it was cool to get back down there and see it. And we do Casa Grande because Robert Rivera runs Tucson for me, and or for the C10 Club. Sorry, I shouldn't say for me. And he does a fantastic job in Tucson. And so that one meet a year, we meet up here in Phoenix. He gets his guys down there, and we all come together. And Casa Grande's basically right in the middle. So that's how the cruise to Casa Grande started. And it just turned into this super cool thing. And we actually are working on, and I've never done anything that I've had to organize, because I just don't have the time. But this one's kind of turning into something, and we're actually gonna make it bigger next year, and get some more room. And we may even get a few sponsors to help us cover some of the costs and whatnot. And still, again, not to make money, but just to cover the costs, and maybe we can turn that into something, a couple, 300-400 trucks, maybe a couple, then just kind of keep building on that. Again, like we talked about, though, I don't do anything huge overnight. So, if we did 140 trucks this year, maybe we'll get 200 next year if we do it bigger, a little bigger, but it's still keep it real grassroots, not, anything crazy, but just keep it fun,
Yeah. And for the audience, the trip to Tucson is, an hour and let's just say your cruise an hour and a half. So when you think about that from Phoenix, so when you think about that, Casa Grande's halfway, it's a quick 45-minute cruise. You get down there, you hang out, you break some bread, and then you go, go back down south to Tucson, or you go north. And then really there's other areas, there's other outlying areas within those metropolitan, Phoenix and Tucson areas. So that's pretty.
Yeah, a lot of guys, afterwards you get small groups that'll break off and they'll go to they'll go to Eloy and Maricopa and like all these other little places. There's all kinds of places to go take photo shoots and stuff, and so just little groups will break off from there. But yeah, it's just a good time, Let's
get into this dually. I want to know about this thing, man. I love this thing. You've had it for a long time, full port built. For you guys out there, if you haven't, check out Brian's page. Trey Five's got some posts on it. I've already posted some stuff. I'm going to keep posting. Do you have a name for this thing yet? What's the plan?
So, awesome. I don't know. I think we're gonna, going back to that, and I just like it, and you did the shirts. I think we're gonna call it Dummy Low.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, that's awesome.
I think we're going to call it Dummy Low and get some custom badges made for it, just because I think that's cool. Like that just epitomized like that. I wish somebody, I don't know, maybe I mean, like I wish somebody would, like knew that girl or whatever. And
so get this. Somebody told me that she's in Arizona, because
really?
that guy, he runs out of Arizona, and he's been in the Valley. When you'd have to go back to the guy and then figure out how we could get. That girl is just random. I was like, people are like, I'm like, if I could figure out who she was, I would interview her 100%.
Yeah,
so
that would be awesome. That would be awesome, man. Yeah.
That'd be when you get done with Dummy Low and then she sees it, because she does say square body in there. I think
square body,
dually square body. So it was meant to be. And I love and you can even use that. Now Autumn designed that logo. The Dummy Low. We've got the file. If you want to, if you want that file,
you put that shirt up, and I guarantee you, I had to be one of the first people that bought it.
Oh, it was funny. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, dude, I like this idea. And so of course my wife's like, the problem is when you have my brain and her skill set from graphic arts, it's not always a good thing. And so I'm like, babe, we're making a shirt, Dummy Low now. So she whips up like 5 different things. Of course, I pick them all apart and I'm like, do this. And then we came up with what we came up with, and just kept it simple. I actually said I'm ready to make another run of them, because people definitely like it. We're sold out of them. We don't have them.
I got mine. Well, I posted one of the pictures of me carrying one of the big turbos.
Yeah, it's just cool.
Dumb luck.
Yeah, if you need the file,
that, that shirt on that day.
Yeah, and it's perfect because it works out perfect. So if you need the logo, I got it for you, man. I got it.
Right on. But so that the kind of quick rundown on that truck is
73,
74.
74. Okay, same. Really no difference. 74 crew.
Yeah.
Dummy Low.
Yeah.
So is it a Catalina blue, or it's a little bit lighter blue?
I don't know which one it is. It's like
light blue.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not really into that. I couldn't tell you what's Hawaiian blue and Catalina blue and.
It actually is a little more Hawaiian. You're right. I don't think they had Hawaiian in 74, but it is a lighter blue, where the Catalina is more of a rich blue, kind of like blue strap.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like a royal blue, I guess. So I don't know what color that is.
Right. Price royal.
So anyway, I found that truck. It was a dude in Colorado had it, and I mean, it came across social media, C10 sales, or I don't know, some one of them sites, and drove. Dude in Colorado had it up for $4,500. And dude, that truck, I kid you not, I think there is one bubble of rust on that truck on the lower door. And that is the cleanest truck that I have seen. I mean, like, there's no rust in the firewall. There's no rust in the rockers. There's no rust in the cab corners. I mean, that thing is just like stupid clean. And so I saw that truck for $4,500, and I didn't even bargain with the guy, which is 100% against my nature.
Now, when you're listening to this in May of 2022, this is a few years back.
This was So I've had the truck probably 4 years.
Yeah. Okay. Because that truck brings 10 G's all day long.
Probably just in all the body pieces still. But
hey, I'll give you an idea. I paid $4,500 for Yellowstone. And same price. Yep. And that was obviously, a few years before that. So you got a good deal on that truck.
Yeah. So I bought this, of course, once when you pay enough attention, when a good deal hits, and if you're in the position, you just get it. So I bought that truck just, knowing that I've always wanted to do a slam dually, and, I didn't know how it was going to come to fruition at that point, but I knew it would, I just put it on. I like to buy shit, and unfortunately I buy way more stuff than I can build. So, that's just, I think we all have that disease. But anyway, so I bought that truck, and then of course, going back to Nate at Porterbuilt, he's still one of my good friends. He's.
Yeah, I'm thinking you made a call as soon as you bought. Did you even own it before you made the call? You might have.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm gonna
call.
You.
Yeah. So, but of course, Nate didn't do a chassis for it, and so it's unfortunately Nate is so busy doing what he does that one-off stuff is really hard for him to do. And, of course, we talked about taking a year, and, 3 years later, we finally got the chassis, and, but it is what it is, so, it was supposed to come together a lot sooner than it did, but I've got it, and we got it over at Tray 5, and we've been busting on it since about, it went down there right after Christmas. And then we actually got on it in February. So we've been on it pretty hard since February. And for the last month, I've actually had almost the entire crew. Jeremy's nicknamed it bankrupt because he thinks it's going to bankrupt Tray 5. But hey man, that's got to be one of the perks, right?
Man, so Dummy Low might have competition with old bankrupt.
Yeah, right. So we're just going to town on it, and and then I bought a first gen Cummins truck from Mike Losh. He had a first gen, like a 92 Cummins, and long bed, just farm truck. So I bought that from him, and only had like a little over 100,000 miles on it. I bought that for the powertrain. So I kept the engine out of it, literally pulled the engine out, sent the rest of the truck to the crusher. And then had Bowman go through the 6BT. But of course, like in my true fashion, I jumped into that without doing all my research. And the 92s had what's called the Bosch pump, which make no horsepower. And so then immediately I've, discovered, well, now I've got to convert this thing into a P pump, which cost me probably as much as I paid for the truck.
Yeah. You gotta have that P pump, which is like 94, 95, 96, right?
Yeah. So, we converted it to the P pump. And then of course, then I'm like, well, we need to make 1,000 foot-pounds out of this thing. Cause it's got to have as much power as my new, as my Duramax dually, and because if we want to pull anything, then we got to have power. So then of course, you give it to Bowman, and now it's compound turbo, and the one turbo on this thing is freaking massive. And then it has a little pusher turbo, which I'm still learning about this shit.
How big is the big turbo?
What's that?
How big is the big turbo?
It's about,
no, like what millimeters?
I don't know. I asked him for the specs, and he won't give them to me. He said it's freaking big.
Yeah, it is freaking big.
Yeah,
I just wondered if it was over like 100. I mean,
I don't know. It says Volvo on it.
Yeah. All right. So, we got that part down. Well, yeah. I'm sure we'll figure it out, but yeah, it's massive.
Yeah. So I don't know. Honestly, if I knew, I would tell you, but I would sound like an idiot because I tell you the wrong thing, and I don't know. But anyways, he did that. He did a bigger cam. He did valve springs. He did, of course, Bowman, they're like, oh yeah, man, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So anyways, crazy later. Now we're, it's all done. And then of course I got to go with the Allison, and then we have to convert the Allison A1000 to a 6-speed. And then we got to do the standalone harness. And, it's just, how it is, man. You just start pushing the snowball downhill, and next thing you know, it's big enough to swallow the truck. So here we are, and it's just, now it's coming together finally. And hopefully, it's going to be super cool, and kind of the goal with the truck, and I hope we deliver. I don't know if we're going to deliver, but I hope we deliver. We have a big 53 foot enclosed. And so my goal is to hook that 53 foot enclosed and take off for LST and, hammer it down the whole way. So I don't know if we'll make it to LST this coming year that way, if we'll have it shaken down enough for that. But the ultimate goal, once it's shaken down and we know it's safe and everything, then that's the ultimate goal, is to pull that big 53 with 2 trucks and all of our gear and all that stuff to LST. So that's and do it 4 inches off the ground. So that's the goal. We'll find out. I don't know if we'll make it.
I like this goal. We're going to hold you to it. Okay. So let's talk wheels. You got some low boys on there.
No, Michael Struckworks.
Michael Struckworks. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. And right now they're just the round cut Alcoas. I just got them from him because I wanted, placeholders. So we're going to get him back over there. He's going to do some I don't know if you've seen his latest ones where he does his custom cuts, but then he actually does like a chamfer cut down in there too. So we're working on the design on that. We're going to do the nice floating caps, with, dummy low on them or whatever we decide to put on the caps, and as spiky of a lug as we can put on it without tearing the fenders off of it. And, we're just going to make it as cool as we can.
How about interior?
So the interior is going to be all 4 Snowden buckets, great big, huge console going from the dash all the way wrapping into the back seats, into the back wall. We're putting a big stereo in it. We're doing like some browns and tans. This seems to be my favorite color of interior.
So you're going to leave the outside. You're going to leave the outside alone.
No, it'll be full paint, everything.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
You're painting that truck?
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Okay. We just got done
painting it.
What's that?
What color are you going to paint it?
That's to be determined.
Okay. How about this? Is it really to be determined, or you're holding tight with it?
I'm holding tight with it.
Okay. Tight with it. That's holding tight with it is HTWI instead of TB.
What's HTWI?
That's holding tight with it.
Oh, holding tight. Gotcha. I'm like, what?
Yeah, holding tight with it.
Holding tight with it. Yeah. So
HTWI. Yeah.
Well, and one reason that we're holding tight with it is because I really today I don't know what color I'm painting. We're in between like 3 different colors. So, but
Tino's airdropping you a bunch of samples.
Right now, Frank's actually painting this one.
I know. I'm joking.
Yeah. But I was gonna have Tino painted at one point in time, but just logistically, it makes way more sense to have Frank do it.
Sure.
And but yeah, we just Steve from Elevated just stretched the fenders for us and all that, and that's out really cool. And so yeah, it's coming, man. I mean, we're hoping to have the bed to Frank tomorrow, so he can start on the body work on the bed and everything, and that's a lot of work to be done. So, and then we got to get all the Allison literally touches the bottom of the dashboard almost. So we're going to have a trans canyon, or we're going to have a trans mountain in there instead of a trans tunnel. And then we're going to have a drive shaft tunnel that's going to have to go through the cab. But there's no frame rails going through the floor or anything. And it does lay pinch, which is pretty cool, for a 1-ton truck to actually lay pinch,
Well, and it makes sense too. So you're going with all 4 buckets. You almost have to with the truck that big, that low, and with an Allison that's just, taking so much real estate out of that.
Massive. Yeah.
Taking so much real estate out of that cab. There was something else. Okay. So paint, you got the fenders. They look really cool. What else was I thinking here? There was something else. How are you guys going to do I wonder how that's going to look with the trim going into the dually fender, because you guys made that dually fender so big.
Yeah. Well, see, we didn't move the light, and so we're going to keep the trim where it should be.
Okay.
And just the top of the fender is going to be stretched.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just going to go higher up on the bed. But what's cool is it's not like, there are aftermarket ones out there that are like 4 inches wider per side, and they get looking kind of goofy in my opinion. So this one we're, obviously factory width, so it's not any wider than it should be. And we literally just stretched the top enough to get it to totally lay and still have like a 1/2 inch of clearance.
What rear end?
I still have the factory Dana 70. Yeah. Drum, big old drum brakes and everything. Yeah. We're going big dollar on the brakes on that thing. Yeah.
Factory. And you run a new axle spline, keeping it 30, 32, whatever.
It's the factory spline, but we got new axles because we had to narrow the axle about 5 inches. So, but we got new axles from Curry, and got those put in there, and it's everything's coming together good. Everything. We'll find out, I guess. And proofs in the pudding when we actually go to getting this thing going. I was over at All American Villa today, and they're just about to finish up the front drive setup on it. They're prototyping their 6BT Cummins front drive on it. Had another conversation with the guy at Engineered Vintage today, and it's not official or anything, but we're if he can work it out, he's talking about prototyping the 73, 74 full billet grill for it. And so yeah, I mean, there's lots of cool things. We're taking advantage of everything we can, and anybody that wants to jump on board that can bring something cool to the table, that hasn't been done yet, or just something that they want to bring out that, will work with us, then, we're all about that stuff. That's what, in my opinion, the truck scene's all about is, always that every time, that little bit, if you can do a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, make something cool, then, just keep on keeping on.
One thing that's really I've seen a lot lately, and I think it would look really cool on Dummy Low, is some ground lighting. Are you going to implement any ground lighting on it?
We might. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far yet. I think it would be cool, especially like some under bed lighting. We just finished the bed raise section today, or got it functional. I shouldn't say finished. Got it functional, and it's kind of tricky because the gooseneck hitch sticks up through the bed. So we had to do some fillers. And so it didn't just have this big gaping hole and look goofy. So we got that going. So I would like to do some accent lighting. So when you'd have some light coming up through there. And then when you open up the center section, have some stuff, and maybe even do some, do some wheel lights and maybe engine compartment lights and stuff like that. Honestly, in my entire life, I've never had a vehicle with, any kind of accent lighting. So that'd be a new one for me.
Yeah, neither have I. But lately I see Poise Hipster, obviously Dino, and some of these trucks, and they look pretty cool. And Money, let's see here, Money Shot was a good one. And so it just adds a little to it. And when they're low and they're rolling, it just looks really cool at the show. So air management.
AccuAir, of course. AccuAir 100%. Derek and now that AccuAir and AccuAir is back with RNOT, and they're doing a fantastic job, and they jumped on board immediately with us. And so it's going to have the VT, it's going to have a 5-gallon VT and just a 5-gallon T. And then we're actually running 4 compressors. And then we just want to have enough air on board that truck.
Just all Viers or what?
Oh yeah. And I can't remember the numbers.
480s or something 48s or
biggest Vier they make. Yeah. It's 4 of the biggest Viers that they have.
What gauges?
Dakota Digital. Yeah. 100% Dakota Digital. What's that?
The diesel gauge.
Yes. Yeah. Dakota diesel gauges. Yeah. And then Precision, jumped on board with all the weather stripping and redoing the vent windows and all that. Frank's doing the paint, eye candy, obviously. We've got Dakota Digital is doing the bed actuators, all that stuff. We got Summits on board with some of their stuff. I can't even.
Is this like? I mean, you're thinking debut at LST, or would this be something that would even?
We haven't seen a spot, so hopefully we're ready. Yeah. We have right now we have a confirmed spot, the AccuAir Corral. I hope we make it. So, I think we will. But yeah, like Pat Coast is going to do the powder, all the powder coat, Resto Mod Air. And then, Michael's Truck Works, Roy at Vibro is doing all the hush matting and stuff. Painless wiring, Snowden, he's doing the seats. And then Heart Fab, inner fenders, and then Ruddy Made. I don't know if anybody really knows a lot about him, but he does a complete fiberglass insert headliner for those, which is pretty, if you don't have a good headliner in a crew cab, they're not the easiest thing to find.
Yeah. Who does it?
Ruddy Made. It's on Instagram, RUDDYMADE, Ruddy Made. And so he got us one of his fiberglass inserts, super nice piece.
Yeah. So Yellowstone, I had to take that out. It was, it's a pain.
Yeah. And, and then, and obviously, Porterbuilt, All American Billet, blah, 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 everybody's
Frontier Shop Supplies.
Frontier Shop Supplies. Yep.
Arizona C10 Club.
Arizona C10 Club. Yeah.
All right, good. You got all the right people. So SEMA 2022, Dinos and LST, watch out. Dummy Low is coming out. I will send you the file, or we'll be in contact because we've got that file so you can have some fun with it. And I love the way the little logo turned out that we do for the audience. If you guys want another run of the shirts, just let me know. we could do it. It'd be fun. So, and then it would be cool to see what color you paint the truck, because then we could make a run of shirts that would be, color coordinated to your truck.
That'd be cool. Yeah. Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm going to tell my wife, she'll get a kick out of that. So, all right, we've taken a ton of time, and I know for the audience, it's 9:30 Arizona, which isn't all that late, but for Brian, a guy that burns the candle at both ends, we do appreciate your time. We've had a great time getting to know who Brian Vowell is, some of the different history. Is there any stories we're missing out on besides the Mesa Votech? I can't wait to explore that a little bit more.
I don't think so, man. I don't know, I don't think so. I just like to keep it simple, keep it, I don't like to be too flashy or too anything, I'm just me, man. I just enjoy trucks and enjoy the scene. And I like being involved in Trey 5 and the C10 Club. And it's definitely become, home for me. The whole truck scene has definitely become home for me. And I'm honored to be involved in it. And, like all the friendships I've made, it humbles.
Well, we keep using them. Yeah, I agree. Well, we just lost you there. You froze up just a second, but I'm honored to have you on just because of everything that you do. Again, we talk about that, and I hope for the audience out there, your C10 Club, whoever's running yours, if they're not running it like Brian, light a fire under their ass, because we're lucky to have you. All right, I'm gonna go through a few last ones that I kind of came up with as we were going. Okay, so you had the 72, you've had a 64, you've had a 77, the 73, you've got the 74, you've got the 90 in the background. You pretty much had all the generations. What's your favorite?
I get asked that a lot, man. I actually like them all.
I like them all too. I'm telling you right now, what's your favorite? Today it could change.
Today, I would have to say the square is probably. Sure. I've had the best time so far in a square body. Ooh, and I was raised in square bodies, so I've had the best time in a square body so far.
All right, and, cool.
But I would, I love them all. Honestly, I do. And one of my goals at some point in my life is I want to have one of every era, super badass, finished all at the same time.
I wonder too if it's because of our age that we grew up. The 60 to 66, they were around, and then we were like, to me, when I was a kid, man, the 67, 72, 71, 72 was that was it, right?
Yep.
But through, high school, junior, senior year, obviously the 88s came out when we were in junior high. Did you go to Taylor or did you go to Mesa?
Yeah, I went to Taylor. Yep.
Okay. Yep. So you go to Taylor junior high, and, now these construction guys, everybody's getting, they're getting the 88s, getting the 89s, getting the 90s. So we see them then. And then the square bodies, our dads all drove square bodies. Every single kid who was born in the 70s, your dad drove a square body.
Yep.
Or if your dad was a Ford guy, your uncle or your grandpa, somebody drove a
somebody had one. Yep.
No way. So then we were around squares forever. And then even the 81 to 87s in school were really, I like all of them too. So I'm with you, man. I've had a little bit of everything, and I love them all. I would say the 60 to 66 is probably my least favorite, although we're getting ready to finally get going on my son's 66. So we'll see how that kind of goes. But yeah, it's cool to hear that. So, okay. So back to 1990, 91, what cassette tape is in Brian's truck?
What cassette tape is in my truck? I was always big into country, man. I've always been a big country guy, even like 90-91, that stuff was really popular, just like it's coming back around now. So I would say probably in 90-91, I probably had a Hank Williams Jr. cassette tape in my truck,
All right. Yeah. We'll take it. Yeah. We'll take it. All right. So one of the other questions that we always ask people, we do kind of a speed round, but I'm just going to keep this one simple. Converse or Vans? What were you wearing?
Converse, but I wasn't wearing either. I was wearing because I worked on cars so much. I actually wore Red Wings in high school. So, but I did have Converse. I didn't.
But on Saturday night when you were taking the ladies out, you were now. Did you know Mickey back then, or when did you guys meet after?
No, I didn't know her back then. No, back then, I had a nice pair of Red Wings.
Nice. Did you get them? Did you get them from that store on Broadway? And
yep.
They finally just closed that store.
They got the one over there by in Riverview now or whatever or something.
Oh, okay. So they moved. They didn't close.
Yeah. But now I wear Vans. Funny enough.
Oh, okay. So it works out. I'm glad. So that Red Wing store didn't close. It just moved.
I think so. I'm pretty sure. I haven't bought Red Wings in a while.
I hope that's the case. Okay. So now you talked a little bit about having a Nova, Chevelle, Camaro, just that background. I know you've posted pictures of your old cars and you were racing. You're saying, hey, I want maybe one of each era of these trucks. Now, what about a car that's kind of come back on a bucket list or something you didn't have when you were a kid that you really always wanted?
The car that I want is on my list is either a 61 bubble top Impala or a Impala wagon. Like I'd really like an Impala wagon. I don't know. For some reason, wagons have got my interest right now, but the one car that I will own and I will have a badass one someday is a 61 bubble top.
Cool. That's not a bad one to have. I tell you what, you're going to have a cool car. They are one of the coolest for sure.
Yeah. Yep. For sure.
Okay, Brian, it's been a pleasure to dive in. I hope the audience enjoys it as much as I did. I'm looking over my list here and we got the tattoos. We didn't really talk about the 90. I do hope, obviously this is C10 talk. Maybe we'll get you back on the OBS format, but I do love the 90 and I love that the 90 is kind of retro rad. And you and I talked, and I hope that for the reunion, that we can do some sort of retro roll and
that would be awesome, dude. I'm in. Yeah, I'm in.
Okay, so let's take out the reunion because I don't want to set you up now. I can ask this question. What's your favorite show and why?
My favorite show, like now or
I'm taking the reunion out. So because obviously I'm not going to set you up.
Oh, trucks, my favorite truck show.
Oh yeah, not movie.
Oh,
your favorite
truck show.
Hey, how about show? Let's see it. What's your favorite show? You know, Top Gun's coming back out. Like
I already got tickets. I'm going Saturday.
Okay, So I think it's going to be awesome.
My favorite show of all time is Dukes of Hazzard because that's just
all right.
You know. But my favorite truck show, honestly, is. I probably had the best time the first time I went to C10s in the park. That was a great show. You know, the party on the square, man, that just blew me away. I was lucky enough to get one of the top 50 and I was actually late. And it was a good thing I was late because they brought me around the other way and I literally parked. My front end was diagonal right on the stage. And that's when Jason Cassidy was playing. And man, it was phenomenal, you know? And that. And then Del Mar, obviously, Del Mar is always a great show, and I want to get that. I want to do that again. So yeah, that's probably two of my favorite shows.
Yeah, it's awesome. You can't. I'm with you on both those. Those are both really good times, and I love me some Jason Cassidy and some C10s in the park. So
yeah. Yep.
For sure. It's always a good time. So awesome, Brian. We'll get some sleep. I appreciate it again. Thanks for staying up with us. I'm going to try to get this out tomorrow. As always, I appreciate it, man.
All right, buddy. Thank you. It was an honor, man.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for everything. So what do you think? Now you know Brian. Pretty cool, right? The dude, he's doing a lot of things, and he's got his hands and toes in things, and you might not even realize it. So thanks again, Brian, for sitting down with us. And for you guys out there, let Brian know, hey, I heard your episode. I dig it. Thanks for doing what you do. I think when we have guests on like that, it's cool. It's cool to hear the response and that people listen and they're like, dude, that's awesome. So that feedback is really cool. So have a great weekend, guys. Again, happy Memorial Day. Check out all those sales and get your ass out in the shop and start wrenching, having some fun. All right, guys. Peace.